Well, hello there. Welcome to day 197 of our Let's Grow annual challenge. We're doing one thing every day to grow this year. And this month, we are, of course, focusing on financial growth, financial health, financial well-being, because I think we all are seeking that. And how do we grow in our goals and objectives? Everything with respect to financial growth. And today we're talking about emergency funds and the power of having an emergency fund. Why the heck do we want to have an emergency fund? And our action item today is, do you have one? Do you have an emergency fund? And if not, I'm going to encourage you to set one up and start today. We've got Patty's story in the Let's Grow Annual Challenge private Facebook group page, Guide to, so you can go there and you can read a write-up and you read how she dealt with emergency funds throughout her life. I have and have not had emergency funds during different periods of my life. And one time it bit me in the rear end really, really bad. And it literally took me years to dig out of my own mess. I had a sudden cardiac arrest and was not properly covered at that time. And it took me a long, long time to dig out of that. Again, big story for another day, but we've all had times where hopefully you're one of those people that's always prepared. You've always got backup. You've always got resources that you can call on. But during that time, I had to get really, really resourceful because I did not have the resources to cover a huge health challenge in my life back then. Why do we want to have an emergency fund? What the heck even is it? It's a fund that is designed to cover us in case stuff comes up. As happens, right? It happens all the time. And unexpected things happen. Your car breaks down. You need a new roof and insurance doesn't cover it. One of your kids gets hurt or breaks an arm or leg and you don't have the right medical coverage. We want to have set aside an emergency fund, and it depends on your lifestyle. People always ask me, well, how much should I have in my emergency fund? I say 3 months, start out and build your emergency fund so that it is equal to 3 months worth of covering all of your living expenses. So one of the things we need to do, if you haven't done it already, is calculate out what do you spend monthly. And we did that earlier this month as part of one of our daily challenges. So you should have already done this. And look at that and say, okay, that's what it takes to help me survive and get through a month. And I say, make that an amount that is got some cushion in it so that you're not going to have all kinds of stress and doubt and fear and worry if something happens, right? So if it's $5,000, add $1,000, add 20 to 25% to that number so that you've got that relaxing, de-stressing cushion. Because nothing helps. If you get sick, if you get COVID, if you have a problem, if you break an arm or a leg and you cannot do your usual things to make income, you want to have a 3-month cushion in an account that you don't touch. That's the hardest part for people, is they'll get that chunk of money in an account and they'll be like, oh, I've always wanted this, or I've always wanted to go on, have this experience or go on this trip. And then they spend it. And then right after they spend it, guess what happens? Some unexpected, unforeseen problem, either a health problem, a vehicle problem, a home repair problem, etc. And they're not prepared for it because they don't have the resources. So now they're freaking out and stressing out about how the heck are they going to fix this thing that's wrong or this change that's happened. And they have to get really resourceful because they don't have the resources set up in an emergency fund. I've had an emergency fund since my 20s, but I let it lapse in my late 40s, and I had a cardiac arrest when I was 50, and that's why I didn't have my emergency fund ready. And even if I did, it wouldn't have been enough to cover what happened and to cover the lifestyle and the things that I needed to cover in that time. So what did I have to do? I had to get resourceful, meaning I had to cut back on a lot of things and a lot of lifestyle things and do without certain things that I had become comfortably accustomed to, because I needed those resources to be spent on medical bills and doctor visits and all kinds of crazy stuff, ICD replacement and inputs, etc. So again, why do we want to have an emergency fund? Number one, to reduce our stress and cover us when something happens. When changes happen, and they inevitably happen, there aren't very many things we can count on in life, but we can absolutely 100% count on change. And I say another thing we can count on is that the weather forecast will not be right or accurate. They'll never be 100% accurate. Although we've come a long way in weather forecasting. It's one of those things I just kind of marvel at that you can be wrong, 85% plus in your job, and you still have a job to come to tomorrow. But it helps us reduce stress, have a sense of security, know that if anything bad happens, we're going to be okay, and our family's going to be okay because we've set funds and things aside to take care of that. And we'll talk about insurance in a few days, I think, and the importance of having those insurance policies and things in different areas and aspects of our life. I'll talk about that then. I was going to share my opinion about insurance, but it's not appropriate today. So again, what's our action item? Do you have an emergency fund? Yes or no? And be honest, right? I would guarantee that probably 80% of the people in this country right now have zero emergency fund. It might even be more than that. But right now, especially, I think a lot of people do not have an emergency fund because they've used their emergency fund to cover for inflation and things that are going on in our world right now. And then what amount do you think you need to have in your emergency fund? Is it $10,000? Is it $25,000? Is it $100,000? It depends on your situation and the amount you want to have to feel okay about being able to deal with the changes and challenges that come down the pipe. That's it. Share in the comments below. Any questions, hit me up in the comments below. There's a Q&A on this video if you are watching it on Facebook, and you can just ask a question there. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I will be with you tomorrow. Have a great day.